What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and it's time for our upset alert video for week 13 of the college football season. And it's been really quiet in the upset world. We just have not had many upsets the last few weeks, and I don't know that that's really going to change this week. You go back to last week, Northwestern upsetting Wisconsin. That was about it, and that wasn't a huge upset. So I just don't. It's like, early in the season, there were upsets all over the place, and I think it's just that we just didn't know about the teams. And now that we know about the teams and everybody has a better idea of who's going to be good and who's not going to be good, Vegas has a much better idea of what's going to happen, and we just have not seen very many upsets. And when we talk about upsets, we're talking about games where the spread is 4 points or more. Yeah, there are plenty of games out there that I'd put on upset alert if I could go with games with 2-point spreads or 3-point spreads, but those to me are just not considered upsets. That's why we don't include them in these videos. And you look at this week, really there are a lot of games, and even games that I didn't put on here, that I think could maybe be an upset, but nothing that I feel like confident at all. Like I'm thinking, I could really see this being an upset. No, it's more like this could maybe be an upset, but it's probably not going to happen. And that's really how I feel about this week's games. It's just, I think it's going to be kind of a quiet week on the upsets again. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we get a ton of upsets. One thing about the games we normally put in this video, the team that I put on upset alert, or the team that I think might could pull off an upset, they usually at least cover the spread. And if you go back and watch throughout the season, that team has played really well. We haven't even seen that the last couple of weeks. App State almost upset Coastal Carolina last week. Indiana, they covered against Ohio State. But a lot of other games, it was blowouts. So I don't know what's going to happen. But these are my 8 games for the week. And maybe if we see an upset. Now, we did get, the Northwestern-Wisconsin game, the upset from last week was in our video. So maybe there'll be one this week in our video. Nebraska, Iowa. This game will be on Friday at noon Eastern time. Actually, this will be at 1 o'clock Eastern time, 12 Central time. It's on Fox. Iowa favored by 14 points. Iowa seems like they're playing a lot better right now. They started kind of slow. And it seems like Iowa always does that. If you think about this team, they usually kind of start a little slow, and then they get it going at some point during the season. Nebraska has really not played very well this year, but it's a rivalry game. I mean, you never know what's going to happen here. Again, I didn't have a lot to choose from. It wouldn't shock me, though, if Nebraska played well in this game, and I think it will be close. I think they will at least cover. Nebraska will, and maybe some big plays could go their way, some turnovers, and maybe they pull off an upset. Who knows? Here's one that could be a huge upset, and I actually called this upset in the preseason. I predicted that North Carolina would upset Notre Dame here. This Notre Dame team is really good. They're better than I thought they would be. North Carolina is not as good as I thought they would be. Defensively, they have really struggled, but there is absolutely an opportunity for an upset here. I think that's why Vegas has this spread at just 5 points. It's because North Carolina can score on any defense, I think, in the country. They're going to score points in this game. Notre Dame is not going to shut them down. I will be shocked if North Carolina does not score, 28 or more points in this game. The problem for North Carolina is they're probably not going to stop Notre Dame. But if they do play their best game defensively, the best game they played all year, they force a few turnovers, something like that, there is absolutely a chance that I think North Carolina could pull off this upset. I'm kind of sticking with Notre Dame here. I think the Irish will get it done. This is a huge game, and it's a big game when you look at the playoff picture as well, because if North Carolina does pull off this upset, we're not going to get 2 ACC teams in the playoff, because then Notre Dame and Clemson will have to play. Loser of that game will be out. So this is a huge game. North Carolina, I think, has an opportunity to maybe pull off this upset, but I'm not going to doubt Notre Dame. They've continued to impress me. At times when I maybe thought that they would struggle, like against Boston College, I thought they'd win that game, but I thought they would struggle. I thought it'd be a close game. They've just kind of turned the corner, and this is, again, a really good team. It'll be tough, but I think North Carolina, because of their offense, at least has a chance. We got Maryland versus Indiana, noon Eastern time on Saturday. Indiana's favored by 11.5 points on ESPN2. This one is just interesting because Maryland is really starting to play well. Their last couple of games, that offense was clicking on all cylinders. Indiana's coming off of a devastating loss to Ohio State, but I really would have a hard time betting against Tom Allen here. And, the way this team is going to fight, I think they will bounce back. But there is potential here. Maryland's had a couple of weeks off. That's normally not necessarily a good thing, but maybe for them it is. Maybe they come up with a great game plan. I don't know. But again, there was not much to choose from this week. We got Colorado USC, 3:30 Eastern time on ABC. USC favored by 13.5 points. So USC, first two games, they looked pretty bad, and they came back late in the fourth quarter. They looked much better last week. Colorado's only played 2 games, but they've won those games. It's a team that I thought was going to be terrible this year, and they proved me wrong. So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to get here. Colorado, I think, maybe has a chance to pull off an upset. I would pick USC for sure. But again, like I said before, there just was not a lot to pick from this week. But I'm just trying to find those games that could potentially maybe have a chance to be an upset. We've got Mississippi State and Ole Miss, the Egg Bowl, not on Thanksgiving this year. It'll be at 4 o'clock Eastern time on Saturday. Mississippi State favored by 9. It'll be on the SEC Network. Mississippi State's defense is playing pretty well right now. We saw them against Georgia last week. It'll be tough to stop an offense like Ole Miss, but this might be just what Mississippi State's offense needed to go up against a defense like Ole Miss, because we know they've struggled on that side of the ball. It's a rivalry game. It's the Egg Bowl. Anything can happen. I think it has to be included here just because you never know what you might get. And again, I think it could be a good game, an exciting game there. Bulldogs versus the Rebels in the Egg Bowl. We've got Kansas State versus Baylor. Baylor favored by 5 points on ESPN2, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Baylor's 1-5 and they're favored against a 4-4 team. That doesn't make much sense to me. I know Kansas State did not look good last week, but they've been up and down this year. They've at times played really well. I think they could absolutely win this game. So when I said early on I don't really see these upsets happening, this could be one. I mean, this could definitely be an upset here. Kansas State is a team that, like I said, they've been up and down. When they play their best, they're a really good team. But we saw them, like last week, not play their best, and they can lose to a team like Baylor. But Baylor is just not very good this year. Again, the record speaks for itself. They're 1-5, and we could maybe see them get upset. And it makes no sense. It doesn't even seem like it would be an upset, a 1-5 team going down to a 4-4 team. But according to Vegas, it would be an upset. How about this one? LSU and Texas A&M, 7 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN. The spread is not listed here. I use Yahoo for these graphics, and for some reason they don't put a spread sometimes. I have no idea why, but I can tell you that A&M is favored by 14, and I can definitely understand that. But here's my thinking on this game. So first of all, A&M has missed a couple of weeks. They might be rusty in this game. And also, LSU maybe found a little something last week. Running the football, playing a little bit better on defense. Their formula to win this game might be to just kind of run the ball, slow the game down, kind of play old school LSU. Their defense needs to have a really, really good game. But if they can keep this game a little bit more low scoring, I think they'll have a chance to maybe make it interesting. But if A&M gets this game into a track meet, if they start scoring points, I don't think LSU is going to be able to keep up. They just are, without Miles Brennan, they're just not the same offensively. So this is an interesting game for me. If LSU puts a perfect game plan in place here and they can come up with some turnovers or something, I think they could keep this game close. But it's obviously going to be tough. A&M is a very good football team. And then we've got Oklahoma and West Virginia. This is one I circled in the preseason. If you guys remember my predictions, I thought this is a game that Oklahoma might lose, might get upset in. But the season is not gone like I thought it would for Oklahoma. They started off so slow, but now they are playing like one of the best teams in the country. West Virginia has been solid all year. I know they are 5-3, but they haven't really been blown out by anyone. They played very good football. It's a sound team. They're playing at home. Primetime game on ABC. It could be an upset. If Oklahoma was not playing like they're playing now, I might even pick West Virginia. But the way Oklahoma is playing, it's very tough to go against the Sooners here. Again, this is a team that's playing like one of the top 10 teams in the country. And if they continue to play like that, I think they will win this game. But if they don't, if they kind of go back to their old ways like they did in those 2 losses, then absolutely West Virginia is capable of pulling off the big upset here at home. And that would pretty much end Oklahoma's chances, I guess, at getting to the Big 12 championship game. I don't know. It's so crazy in the Big 12, they might still would make it. But those are my upset picks for the week. We'll see if any of them actually happen. Maybe it's another quiet week. Maybe we don't see any upsets. If I had to go with one, I guess it'd be Kansas State and Baylor. And again, I'm not really sure why Baylor is favored in that game. But what do you guys think? Which upset do you think might happen? Is there an upset I didn't list that you might see happening? Give me your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports College Football Channel.